Hello guys and welcome back to Planet 40k Tyranids. So Warhammer community have released an article only yesterday in regards to mustering up your army for 10th edition. So I wanted to go through some of the changes as well as some of how it relates to the Tyranid Codex, in fact, how it's going to relate to the Tyranids in 10th edition. Not necessarily a codex because we don't have a codex for 10th yet, but maybe the index and maybe a future codex for us to play. Okay, so let's get into the Warhammer community website, going through this article. Now a few things have actually changed and some things are pretty much the same. So selecting your battle size, pretty much the same thing. You can play 1000 point incursion level, 2000 point strike force level, and a 3000 point onslaught level. They also go on to mention that 500 point games are still perfectly possible, but the core rules are optimised for slightly larger forces than that. Power levels are a thing of the past, they are no longer here, which is nice, we never really used them, did we? And then you get onto the starting your army roster, so you're choosing a faction, yep, there's nothing new there, we are choosing Tyranids. You're selecting the detachment rules. Now this part is slightly different. Currently in 9th edition we've got high fleets, and that is our detachment rules and our detachment abilities. So if you're playing the Leviathan High Fleet, you get the Leviathan High Fleet rules, the Leviathan High Fleet relics, warlord traits, psychic power, etc. So in 10th edition we're going to still have these options. They might not necessarily be high fleets, we don't really know what they're going to be. I mean, we already had a little bit of an example with the Termagant datasheet. It said the Great Devourer. I'm going to presume that is one of the detachment options, which isn't a high fleet, is it? So we don't know what the sub-faction names are going to be, but we're going to be getting 6 unique stratagems, we're going to be getting all the abilities and whatnot, as well as the enhancements. So yeah, it's a slight change there, but not a massive change. We're still quite comfortable with that. Now this next part here, which you've probably seen from the thumbnail, which is the picking units section of this article. So there's a few changes that I've spotted in this section. So let's go through them one by one. There's 4 here, 4 silhouette pictures. The first one is at least one character. So these are the things you need to do when making your list. So you select at least one character. It doesn't say HQ. I don't believe there are any battlefield roles in 10th edition. So HQs, troops, elites, they're all out the window, I believe. It's just characters, and well, we'll go on to the battle line stuff in a moment. But this doesn't necessarily need to be what we currently know as a HQ. It doesn't necessarily need to be a Turbogon. Doesn't necessarily need to be a Broodlord. It could be the Death Leaper as a character. It could be the Parasite of Mortrex. That could be who you promote as your Warlord. There isn't going to be this tax on having to need a HQ within your list anymore, and there isn't obviously that tax of the troops, which we kind of got rid of in Arks of Omen anyway. So that's the first bullet point with the first silhouette. The second one is a maximum of 1 of each epic hero. Now, it hasn't been confirmed, I don't believe yet at this moment in time, what an epic hero actually is. Now, they've got Guilliman as the silhouette there, so you would presume it's one of the, the supreme command detachment leader type things, such as Guilliman or the Silent King. Now, we don't really have anything like that in the Tyranids Codex, although we do have named characters, or we've got one named character, which is Old One-Eye. In fact, it's the Death Leaper one as well. Yeah, the Death Leaper is also a named character. I actually forgot all about that. So I don't believe they're going to be epic heroes. I mean, potentially Old One-Eye could get a massive buff and he could be an epic hero. We don't really know. Or the Swarm Lord, I don't really know. But when you look at other factions, again, I'm going to revert to Necrons here because that's my bread and butter. You've got the Silent King in that codex. You would imagine that was an epic hero. But what about named characters such as Imhotep the Stormlord, was an example I used earlier, or what about the named Catan Shards, the Nightbringer, the Deceiver? Will they be classed as epic heroes? Don't really know, but in terms of the Tyranid Codex, I don't believe that's going to be a major factor. We don't have one of these Primarch options to play with, so that one I think, yeah, I'm not too concerned about that one for the Tyranid Codex. The next one, number 3, is up to 3 of the same datasheet, and there's a slight little point that's gone under the radar with that one, which is up in incursion missions, 1000 point level, you could only select 2 of the same datasheet unless it was troops or dedicated transport. Now this simply just says up to 3 of the same datasheet, and earlier on it said you can play all different game types, incursion, strike force, onslaught. So I would presume from this image that at incursion level we can select up to 3 of the same datasheet as opposed to 2, which makes 1k list building a lot easier, because it was really difficult when you've got, say for example, because you've selected troops as your compulsory and you wanted to get in 3 units of Termagants because they're the cheaper option, whereas the Hormagaunts and the Gargoyles are 8 points each, the Termagants are only 7 points each, but you couldn't take 3 units of Termagant, so you had to go elsewhere to get your final troop choice if you were selecting troops. So yeah, you lose points that way doing that, you lost 10 points. I quite like because I quite enjoy playing 1000 point games. I think I actually prefer it over 2000 point games. It's just a little bit more relaxed, especially when you're playing with friends. There's no time restraints because it's only 1k. So a little change if you are playing Incursion, and if you're playing Strike Force, there's no change really there. That's as it was before. Now the fourth bullet point and the fourth silhouette, this is a complete different change. It's a new keyword here, which is Battle Line. Now what I believe Battle Line is sort of a combination between having core and having maybe troops or infantry. Because from the silhouette you can see there's 6, what are they? Space Marine Intercessors. We've lost, the core keyword is no longer a thing anymore. Troops are also no longer a thing anymore. Objective secured is no longer a thing anymore. So this may be a sort of a combination of all those things together. So when relating that to the Tyranids Codex, I mean troops weren't a problem in 9th edition anyway, because you can take loads of troops because it didn't have that rule of 3. But maybe the Gene Stealers, maybe they've got the Battle Line keyword as well. And now they're elites too, or they were elites in 9th edition. So if that is the case and Gene Stealers have got the Battle Line new keyword, then that would mean you could take 6 units of them, 6 maximum units of Gene Stealers within your list. I'm trying to think of other options that we've got. Maybe Raveners? No, I don't even think Raveners, to be honest with you. It's mainly the troops already, so that won't change for the troop options that we currently got. Termagants, Hormagaunts, the Gargoyles, Tyranid Warriors, we could take loads of them in 9th edition anyway, so it's not going to change too much. It just all depends on what units are going to be given Battle Line, or what does Battle Line actually mean. They've not completely explained what Battle Line actually is right now. So yeah, that's some small changes that I've seen from this article from Warhammer Community, which was from yesterday, I believe. It was on the 30th, yep. So guys, let me know if I missed anything here, or is there anything you want to add to this? Write it down in the comments down below. Maybe give me a little bit more direction in terms of what you believe Battle Line to be. Maybe I've got it completely wrong, maybe it is a battlefield role thing. But yeah, I'm just waiting on more information, I suppose. So guys, that is it from me today. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.